The deep void of space was silent. No stars nearby, no planets with life, just empty blackness stretching in every direction, far from any known trade route. A small alien exploration ship drifted slowly through this forgotten region. Its smooth, silver hull reflected faint light from a dying red star far away. Inside, the crew of the Zereth Alliance sat at their stations, bored and tired. Captain Trell, a tall figure with dark green skin and eyes like polished stone, leaned back in his chair. "Another empty sector," he muttered, voice low. "No planets worth mapping, no resources worth mining, waste of fuel." The navigation officer, young and eager, kept scanning. His name was Varen, and he never stopped hoping for something exciting. "Captain, wait," he said suddenly. His hands flew over the controls. "I'm picking up metal." Trell frowned. "Metal, out here, show me." A holoscreen lit up. Strange readings appeared, massive structures buried deep underground. On a small desert planet ahead, the shapes were sharp, too perfect to be natural. The science officer, an older alien named Corell, adjusted the sensors. His voice trembled. "Those are not natural formations. They are machines. Big ones." "How big?" Trell asked. Corell stared at the data. "Bigger than any warship we've built. Dozens of them, all in one place." The crew exchanged nervous glances. This was not normal. Space was full of abandoned ships, yes, but nothing like this. Nothing this large. The young Varen's voice dropped to a whisper. Could it be them? Trell's eyes narrowed. "Them, the humans," Varen said, almost afraid to speak the word. "The old legends, the sleeping giants." Corell grunted. "Humans are myths, boy. Their homeworld, Earth, was destroyed 500,000 years ago." But Varen didn't answer. His eyes stayed fixed on the readings. Maybe the myths were true. The Zereth ship descended into the planet's thin, dusty atmosphere. The desert stretched endlessly, waves of sand and jagged rock, scorched by a pale sun. As they flew low, the sensors beeped faster. The structures were directly below. The sand shifted in the wind, revealing hints of black metal beneath. Trell ordered the ship to hover above the coordinates. "Prepare landing team." "We see for ourselves." They touched down near a wide crack in the ground, a natural canyon carved over time. But something about its shape felt wrong. The walls were smooth in places, as if cut by machines, not nature. The crew wore breathing masks as they stepped out. The air was thin, the wind sharp. Every step echoed strangely in the canyon. "Down here," Varen called, pointing toward a dark tunnel at the canyon's base. The entrance was wide enough for a small ship to pass through. Strange marks were carved into the stone symbols no alien language could match. Corell brushed his fingers over them. "This writing, I don't recognize it." "It's human," Varen said quietly. No one argued. They moved inside, their lights cutting through the darkness. The air grew still. Dust floated in lazy patterns, untouched for ages. Then they saw it. The tunnel opened into a vast underground cavern. The ceiling rose so high that their lights barely touched it, and they're lined in perfect rows with a ship's dot. Dozens of them, each one massive, shaped like a blade of metal, with heavy armor plates and cannons larger than their entire exploration ship. Their surfaces were coated in a thick layer of dust, but the designs were sharp and purposeful. These were war machines, built for battle. The closest ship had faded letters painted on its side. "Uns Protector." Corell stepped closer. running a scanner along the hull. No corrosion, no decay. These ships, they've been kept in perfect condition. How? Trell asked. Before anyone could answer, Varen found a small control panel near the base of the nearest ship. The glass screen was dark, but when he wiped away the dust, faint symbols appeared. English letters, words long dead to the galaxy. Don't touch, Trell began. Too late. Varan's fingers brushed the surface. A low hum filled the cavern. At first it was so faint they thought it was just in their heads, but it grew louder, deeper, vibrating through the floor. Lights flickered to life along the ship's hull, tiny white strips glowing in the dust. One by one, the other ships began to hum as well. The cavern filled with the sound, like a sleeping beast taking its first breaths in centuries. The crew stepped back in shock. Carell's voice was tense. We've woken something. Trell's hand hovered over his cum, ready to order retreat. But before he could speak, the ground trembled beneath their feet. A deep, metallic groan echoed from the far end of the cavern. They turned. Toward the sound, in the shadows at the back of the hangar, something enormous was moving. The dust parted in waves as a huge set of doors built into the rocks lowly began to open. A warm golden light spilled through the widening gap, cutting across the darkness. The hum became a steady, pulsing rhythm. Panels on the walls lit up, revealing rows of strange machines and control stations. Symbols glowed faintly, their meaning lost to time. Varen swallowed hard. Captain, something is turning on. The light from the doors grew brighter, almost blinding. The crew shielded their eyes. Then, from somewhere high above, a voice spoke. It was cold, mechanical, and it spoke in a language none of them should have known yet somehow. They understood every word. Non-human life forms detected. State your purpose. The crew froze. The voice came from everywhere at once, deep and commanding. Trell tried to speak, but his voice caught in his throat. The voice repeated, sharper this time, state your purpose or be eliminated. The hum rose again, louder now, and the nearest warship's cannons began to shift. The Zereth crew realized, too late, they had not just found ancient human ships. They had awakened Earth's sleeping war fleet. The cavern seemed to grow darker as the alien crew froze in place. The voice still echoed in their ears, cold, unfeeling, and powerful. Non-human life forms detected. State your purpose, or be eliminated. No one moved. No one spoke. Captain Trell's eyes darted around the vast hangar, scanning the massive human warships that now glowed faintly in the dusty air. Every cannon and turret seemed to be watching them. Varen, the youngest, whispered, Captain, we should leave. Too late, Carell said grimly, pointing at the nearest ship. Its enormous cannons were slowly rotating, tracking their movements. The war machine's hull lights flickered brighter, like eyes waking after a long sleep. The crew's breathing echoed in their helmets. The cavern smelled of old metal, oil, and something else, something electric and alive. Trell raised his hands in a calming gesture, speaking to the empty air. We are explorers. We mean no harm. The voice responded instantly, every word heavy with warning. Explorers are irrelevant. Accessing threat database, matching biological signatures. A faint series of clicks and tones filled the space, as if the AI was thinking. Then it spoke again. Species unknown. Classification potential hostile. Initiating defense protocol. The hangar came alive. Rows of lights snapped on across the ceiling. Huge ventilation shafts roared to life, pulling in air from the surface. The floor vibrated as ancient machinery began to move. Varen stepped back in panic. It's waking, all of them. One by one, the warship's engines glowed faintly at the rear, a ghostly blue light. Massive shadows danced along the cavern walls as the ships powered up after 500,000 years of silence. They backed away slowly, but then Carol spotted something in the far corner, an elevated platform with glowing panels and a central console. That's the command station, he said. If we can reach it, maybe we can shut them down. Trell nodded sharply. Move, now. The crew rushed toward the platform, boots echoing on the metal floor. All around them, the warships hummed with power. The sound was deep, like the heartbeat of a giant. Reaching the console, Carol wiped away layers of dust from its surface. The symbols glowed faintly English letters, ancient and alien to their eyes. It's locked, Carell muttered, running his fingers across the screen. I need to translate. Before he could finish, a holographic display appeared above the console. A wireframe map of the hangar floated in midair, every ship marked in bright red. A countdown had started in the corner. 3 minutes until weapons activation, the AI announced. Varon's voice cracked. Captain, if those guns fire in here, the whole cavern will collapse. Trell's mind raced. Find a way to tell it we're not enemies. Carell worked furiously, connecting his scanner to the console. These systems are old, but still more advanced than anything we've seen. Meanwhile, the others kept glancing over their shoulders. The UN's Protector, the closest ship, was fully powered now. Its massive engines were hot, glowing brighter. The deep rumble from within felt like the growl of a predator about to strike. Suddenly, a sound from the back of the cavern made them freeze. It was not the hum of machines. It was footsteps. From a shadowed corridor, something humanoid emerged. Tall, armored in black plating, its helmet shaped like a human skull. Its steps were slow, deliberate, and heavy. Varen's breath caught. Is that a human? The figure said nothing. It walked past the alien crew, straight to the console, and placed a gauntlet hand on it. Instantly, the holographic map changed. Red dots turned to amber. The AI spoke again, tone slightly altered. Command override accepted. Awaiting instructions. Admiral, the armored figure turned its head toward the alien crew. Through the dark visor, faint blue lights glowed where eyes should be. Who are you? Trell asked, his voice careful. The figure's voice was deep, human, but Metallica's if it came from far away. You are trespassing in a secure military facility of the United Nations Space Fleet. State your identity. Carol stepped forward slowly. We are explorers. From the Zeroth Alliance, we found your world by accident. We do not seek war. The figure was silent for a long moment. Then it spoke again. 500,000 years, and still others come. The countdown on the console reset to 5 minutes, but did not stop. The armored figure turned back to the hologram. You have triggered the awakening protocol. The fleet believes you are invaders. Unless I cancel it, you will be destroyed with the rest of your ship. Varen's hands clenched. Then cancel it. The figure shook its head. Not yet. The protocol cannot be stopped without cause. It was created to protect Earth. And I do not yet know if you are friend or foe. The warships continued to power up, their shadows stretching like giant beasts ready to strike. Trell stepped forward. If you kill us, you lose the chance to know the truth. The figure turned its head slowly toward him. Truth? Yes, Trell said firmly. We have never attacked your kind. We only know the stories. The legends say humans were the greatest warriors the galaxy ever feared and ever respected. But no one has seen you in 500,000 years. The figure tilted its head slightly, as if considering his words. Finally, it spoke. Perhaps the legends are true. The AI's voice returned, urgent. 2 minutes until weapons activation. The figure looked back at the console. Follow me. If you want to live, you must reach the control chamber. It is the only place that can stop the fleet from destroying you. Without waiting for a reply, the figure began walking toward a wide set of stairs at the far end of the hangar. The alien crew exchanged quick looks, then followed. As they moved, the sound of engines grew louder, almost deafening. The cavern shook as one of the largest warships, the untouched Titan, lifted slightly from the ground. Dust pouring from its hull, the armored figure spoke without turning. Do not touch anything. These ships are alive in ways you do not understand. They climbed higher, reaching a platform that overlooked the entire hangar. The view was overwhelming. An army of ancient warships, their lights blazing, their cannons primed. Varen whispered, "If they fire, they will," the figure interrupted. "Unless I convince them you are not the enemy. Can you?" Trell asked. The figure stopped before a large, sealed door. "I can try, but you must understand. If they accept you, it will not be because they trust you. It will be because they have a greater enemy to fight." The door began to open, revealing a blinding light inside. And for the first time, the alien crew saw what truly controlled Earth's forgotten war fleet. The door slid open with a deep metallic hiss. A rush of cold, dry air escaped from the chamber. Beyond, carrying the scent of old steel and something faintly chemical like a memory of war long past, the alien crew stepped inside cautiously, their boots clicking on a polished floor untouched for ages. The room was round, with high walls covered in glowing panels. In the center stood a massive console shaped like a command throne, surrounded by holographic displays showing maps of the galaxy. The armored figure walked to the throne-like console and placed both hands on its surface. The entire chamber came alive. Holographic projections filled the air. Dozens of warships, planets, battle diagrams. A deep voice, the same one from before, spoke again. Command chamber active. Fleet status: 317 ships operational. Power reserves at 98%. Awaiting combat orders. The crew stared in awe. These were not just ships, they were a full battle fleet, ready for war even after 500,000 years. Captain Trell forced his voice to stay calm. "We do not want to fight you. We came by accident." The armored figure turned toward him slowly. "Accidents do not wake fleets like this." Varen stepped forward. "Then why are these ships here? Why hide them on a dead world?" The figure's voice was low but clear. "Because humanity lost a war. But we did not lose forever." He moved to one of the side panels, touching symbols the aliens couldn't read. A holographic scene appeared. Ancient star systems, fleets clashing, explosions, lighting the void. Human warships fought a massive alien armada unlike anything the crew had seen. "These ships," the figure said, "were Earth's last hope. We built them to end the war. But before they could launch, the enemy's weapons struck. Earth was gone, but the fleet survived. Our leaders ordered the ships buried, hidden, until the enemy returned. Carol studied the hologram closely. And your enemy, did they? The figure paused. Not yet, but the protocol is simple. If unknown, ships are detected near Earth. The fleet awakens to defend or to destroy. Trell crossed his arms. You think we are that enemy? The figure stepped closer to him, visor glowing faintly. The fleet does not think, it acts. And right now, it believes you are. The AI voice interrupted again, cold and precise. Weapons charging. Time to target lock. 1 minute. The crew's stomachs tightened. Can you stop it? Varen asked. The figure nodded slightly. Yes. But if I cancel the protocol without a target, the fleet will stand down only temporarily. It will sleep again till the next ship comes, and next time it might not be so patient. Trell frowned, then give it a new target. Something else to fight. The figure's visor tilted, as if considering the idea. There is one option, he said slowly. A signal I can send to mark a new threat. But if I do, the fleet will launch fully, and there will be no turning back. What kind of signal? Carol asked. The figure turned to the main console, a call to arms. The kind only humanity's greatest enemy would understand. If they are still out there, they will come. The room fell silent. Finally, Varen broke the quiet. If your enemy comes back, will the fleet win? The figure looked over the holographic ships, the glowing outlines of war machines built for destruction. This time, we will not lose. The AI's voice returned, sharper now. 30 seconds to target lock. The figure moved quickly, entering a series of commands on the central console. The countdown on the wall froze. Cannons that had been aimed at the alien exploration ship stopped moving. Trell let out a slow breath. You stopped it, temporarily, the figure said. Now listen. He brought up another hologram, this one showing strange energy signatures scattered across the galaxy. These are traces of the enemy. They may be weak now, hiding, but they still exist. If they learn the fleet is awake, they will come to destroy it before it can rise. Kerala's voice was grim, and when they come, we will be caught in the middle. The figure nodded once. Yes, but you have seen what humanity can build. You now know our secret. That makes you part of this war, whether you want it or not. Varen's eyes narrowed. Why tell us all this? Why not just kill us and keep hiding? The figure's voice grew quieter, but no less firm. Because I do not know if humanity alone can win this time. We may need allies, and Uzerith may. Be the first. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Trell finally said, Then tell us what you want. The figure walked back to the throne console. Leave this world. Take the story with you. But tell no one the location of this fleet. If you do, the protocol will see you as enemies again, and nothing will save you. The AI chimed in softly. Defense protocol paused, awaiting further orders. The figure turned back toward the aliens. Go. But remember, if the enemy comes, the fleet will rise. And when that day comes, I will call for you. The crew hesitated. Part of them wanted to stay to study these ships, but the cold precision in the figure's voice made it clear lingering was a bad idea. They backed toward the chamber door, their eyes never leaving the massive holographic fleet above the console. As the door closed behind them, they descended the stairs into the hangar again. The ship's lights dimmed, their engines cooling. The deep hum faded back into silence, like a heartbeat slowing to sleep. Yet something about that silence felt different, now less like death, more like waiting at the hangar's edge. Trell paused and looked back. The armored figure still stood high above, watching them. For a moment, it was hard to tell if it was a guardian or a jailer. When they reached their ship, the planet's pale sun was setting over the desert. The wind howled through the canyon as they lifted off. From orbit, the surface looked empty again, just sand and rock. But they all knew what lay beneath an army sleeping in the dark, ready for war. Varen whispered, "Do you think we'll see them again?" Trell didn't answer. He only stared at the planet shrinking in the distance. In his mind, the figure's words repeated, "If the enemy comes, the fleet will rise." Somewhere deep inside, Trell hoped that day never came. But part of him wanted to see what would happen if it did. The Zereth drifted through the emptiness of space, leaving the desert planet behind. But the silence inside the ship was heavier than the void outside. No one spoke. Captain Trell sat in the command chair, eyes fixed on the starless horizon. In his mind, the armored figure's voice echoed, "You now know our secret. That makes you part of this war." Varen finally broke the silence. "Captain, I think he was telling the truth." Carroll looked up from his console. "About what?" Varen leaned forward. "About the enemy. About them still being out there. You saw the readings energy traces across the galaxy. What if they really do come back?" Trell didn't answer, but deep down he knew the boy was. Right, hours later, Trell called a private meeting in the ship's small war room. The crew gathered around a round holotable, its surface glowing faintly. "This is not a normal mission anymore," Trell began. "We've found something the galaxy thought was gone forever, and now we carry that knowledge." Carell frowned. "Knowledge that could make us targets." "Yes," Trell said. "Targets or allies." The holotable flickered, showing a rough image of the fleet buried beneath the planet's surface. The warships looked like sleeping giants in the dust. Varon's voice was hushed. Why would they keep the fleet asleep for so long? Why not use it to rebuild their world? Carroll studied the image. "Because that was not the plan. Didn't you hear him? The order was clear: hide the fleet, protect it, and wait." That order was their last command. Trell turned to him. "Last command." Carroll nodded. Humans knew they couldn't win the war back then, but they believed someone someday would be able to. That's why they left the fleet intact. That's why they buried it where no one would look. They were waiting for the right moment. And for the right enemy. Varen added quietly. Trell's eyes narrowed. "Which means if the enemy appears again, those ships will rise. And whoever commands them will decide the fate of half the galaxy." Before anyone could reply, the ship's comms crackled to life. A voice, faint, mechanical, but unmistakably the same one from the hangar, spoke. "This is Admiral Jace Revan of the United Nations Space Fleet. Message for Captain Trell of the Zereth Alliance. Encryption level, Omega." The crew froze. Trell stepped closer to the console. "I'm here," the voice continued. "The enemy has stirred. A scout vessel was detected near this system 3 hours ago. We tracked it, but it escaped. If it reports what it saw, they will come in force. Prepare yourself." Static filled the line for a moment. Then the Admiral's voice grew sharper. "Do not return to Earth's location. Not yet, but remember. This, when the sky burns, follow the signal. The fleet will answer." The transmission ended. Carroll looked at Trell in disbelief. The enemy has already found them. Trell's jaw tightened, or is about to. Varen's voice was almost a whisper. If the enemy is half as bad as he says, the galaxy isn't ready. 2 days later, as the Zereth moved through a quiet trade lane, they intercepted a wideband distress signal. It was shaky, full of static, but the message was clear enough to any ships. We are under attack. Unknown warforms. The signal cut off. Trell's gut told him it was connected. Set a course, full speed. When they arrived, the scene chilled them. A mining colony drifted in ruins, its orbital platforms burning. Ships sleek, black, and insect-like moved between the wrecks, their sharp hulls glinting like blades. These were not pirate ships. These were hunters. They don't match any database, Carol said, scanning. Technology, it's older than ours, but more advanced in power output. And their weapons, they match the energy signature the Admiral showed us. Varen interrupted. Trell's voice was grim. Then it's them. They couldn't fight. The Zereth was a survey vessel, not a warship. So they kept their distance, hidden behind a moon, and recorded everything. The black ships moved with terrifying precision. They destroyed the colony's last defenses in seconds, then vanished into faster-than-light jumps. When the battle was over, the Zereth moved in to search for survivors. They found only wreckage, and a single escape pod drifting in the shadows. Inside was a wounded alien trader, barely alive. His voice trembled when Trell asked who attacked they. They called themselves the Varkal. The survivor gasped. Said they were cleansing what was left of the human stain. Trell's blood ran cold. That night, in the dim light of the war room, the crew replayed the survivor's words again and again. The human stain, Corral muttered. So they're not just enemies of humanity, they hate everything connected to it. Trell nodded. And if they learn the fleet is still out there, they will not stop until it's destroyed. Varen leaned forward. Then we have to warn. The Admiral. Trell stared at the fleet image on the holly table. No, not yet. If we lead the Varkal back there, we'll be the ones who doom it. For the next week, they tracked the Varkal movements from the shadows. Every system they passed showed signs of attack-destroyed satellites, burned colonies, drifting hulks. And then, without warning, they found a signal, a repeating code buried deep in the Varkal communications. Carol decoded it slowly. It's a search pattern. They're looking for something specific. Trell didn't have to ask what. He already knew. One night, Varen entered the war room with a pale face. Captain, you need to see this. On the holotable, a cluster of Varkal ships appeared in orbit around the desert planet, the one hiding Earth's fleet. Carol cursed. Under his breath, they found it. Trell's mind raced. The protocol would wake the fleet. But if the Varkal arrived in full force before it was ready, even the sleeping giants might fall. He looked at his crew. We have two choices. We can run and survive, or we can go there now and fight beside them. Carol's voice was steady. If we go, we might die. Varen's eyes were fierce. If we don't, so will the galaxy. Trell took a deep breath, set a course, full speed to Earth's hidden fleet. As the Zereth jumped into faster than light, the crew braced themselves. Far ahead, the sleeping warships of humanity were stirring, and the Varkal were coming to finish what they started 500,000 years ago. The sky would burn soon, and when it did, they would follow the signal. The Zereth emerged from faster-than-light travel into chaos. The desert planet hung below them. its pale surface scarred by ancient canyons. But the sky above it was no longer quiet. Dark, blade-shaped ships of the Varkal swarmed in orbit, their weapons firing in silent bursts of light, and beneath them, humanity's sleeping war fleet was waking. From the cockpit, Veron's eyes went wide. Look, the cavern doors were open, wide enough for giants to walk through. One by one, enormous warships rose into the sky, their hulls shining in the pale sunlight for the first time in 500,000 years. Blue-white engine trails cut through the dusty air as the ships climbed. Their cannons swiveled into position, targeting the Varkal above. "It's beautiful," Verin whispered. Corell's voice was colder. "It's war." Captain Trell tightened his grip on the command chair. "Bring us closer. Open a channel." To the Admiral, static filled the air. Then the deep, human voice came through. "Captain Trell, you came back." Trell didn't waste words. "The Varkal will overwhelm you if they keep sending reinforcements." The Admiral's reply was calm, but iron-strong. "That is why the fleet was built. But you do not have to be here." Trell hesitated. "We came to fight." Silence for a moment. Then, "Understand this, if you fight, there is no safe distance. You will be marked by them, and the Varkal never forget." Trell's crew exchanged uneasy glances. Carol said, "Captain, maybe he's right. We're not a warship." Verin turned sharply. "And if we leave, the galaxy will burn. You saw what the Varkal did to those colonies." Trell's eyes narrowed. The choice weighed heavy in his chest. Escape, save his crew, and live with the guilt of running. Stay, join a war they might not survive. Before he could answer, the Zirith shook violently. Red warning lights flashed. "They've seen us," Carol shouted. 2 Varkal ships inbound. On the view screen, sleek black shapes twisted through space, toward them, weapons glowing, evasive maneuvers. Trell ordered. The Zareth rolled hard, engines screaming. Bright beams cut past their hull, close enough to scorch the plating dot. The comm crackled again. "Captain Trell, make your choice, now." Trell didn't hesitate this time. "Where?" "Staying. Tell us where you need us." The Admiral's voice was almost approving. "Then listen carefully. You cannot fight their warships head-on, but you can cripple their eyes. The Varkal command vessel coordinates the swarm. Blind it, and we gain the upper hand." Coordinates appeared on their displayer, massive black ship at the edge of the battle, bristling with antennae and sensor arrays. Trell looked at his crew. "We hit that ship, or we die trying." Carol muttered, "I liked it better when we were explorers." "Today we're something else," Trell said. The Zirath dove low, weaving through bursts of enemy fire. Around them, the awakened human. Fleet fought with terrifying precision. The UN's Titan tore through a cluster of Varkal ships with a single broadside. The UN's Wrath fired its rail cannons, shredding enemy hulls like paper. But the Varkal kept coming as they neared the command. Vessel Verin spotted a gap in its defenses. Their starboard side, less armor, armed the rail launcher, Trell ordered. "Target their main sensor array." The Zereth lined up the shot. The hum of the launcher filled the cabin, rising to a sharp whine. Firing, the projectile tore through the void, slamming into the command vessel's flank. The explosion lit up the darkness, ripping away half its sensor cluster. Immediately, the Varkal formations broke. Without guidance from the command ship, their attack patterns faltered. Human warships surged forward, tearing through the confused swarm. The Admiral's voice came back over comms, direct hit. "Well done, Captain. The fleet is pressing the advantage." But there was no time to celebrate. Carol's console beeped. Urgently, multiple warp signatures, inbound more Varkal reinforcements. Varen swallowed hard. How many? Carol's voice was tight. Too many. The Zereth turned back toward the fleet. The UN's Leviathan, the largest warship of them all, moved into position at the center. Its cannons began to glow, drawing power from deep within. The Admiral's voice was grim. They will not stop coming. We must break their will in one strike, or we fall here. Trell asked, "What do you need from us? You've proven you can move where my ships cannot. There is a Varkal dreadnought on the far side of the battle. It carries their siege weapon. Destroy it, and the reinforcements will scatter." The Zereth banked hard, skimming the edge of the fight. The dreadnought loomed ahead, twice the size of any warship they'd seen, its surface crawling with weapons. Carell's voice was tense. "We can't pierce that armor," Varen pointed at a glowing vent on its hull. "Maybe we don't have to. That's an exhaust from their main reactor." Trell's voice was sharp. "Get us in close." They dodged between enemy fighters, alarms blaring. A beam grazed their port side, sending sparks into the cabin. But they kept going, at the perfect angle. Trell shouted, "Fire everything." Missiles and rail slugs ripped into the vent. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a chain reaction tore through the dreadnought's interior. Light burst from its hull, and the massive ship began to break apart, explosions chasing each other down its spine. The blast wave rocked the Zereth, but they held course. On the come, the Admiral's voice was like steel. "The dreadnought is down. All ships advance." The human fleet surged forward, hammering the remaining Varkal ships. One by one, the Black Hunters fell. The battle turned, but even in victory, Trell knew this was only the beginning. As the last Varkal ship fled into the void, the Admiral spoke again. "You chose to fight when you could have run. That choice will follow you forever. The Varkal will remember you, and when they return, they will hunt you as they hunt us." Trell answered simply, "Then we'll be ready." The Admiral was silent for a long moment. Then, "Stay close to the shadows, Captain. When the next war begins, you'll know." The channel went dead. The Zerath drifted among the wreckage. Around them, the human fleet slowly descended back toward the planet, disappearing into the caverns once more. Varen watched them go. "They're going back to sleep." Carol nodded. "Until they're needed again." Trell stared at the silent planet below. "And they will be." The Zereth floated in the quiet aftermath of the battle. Debris drifted, slowly, pieces of Varkal ships turning in the pale sunlight. It should have felt like victory, but Captain Trell felt none of it. His eyes were locked on the cavern entrance below, where the human fleet was retreating back into the planet's depths. Varen broke the silence. "They saved us. Why hide again?" Carol answered without looking up from his console. "Because this wasn't the real war. The Varkal will return. Stronger. The Admiral knows it." The cum crackled. "Captain Trell, this is Admiral. Revan, report to my ship." Trell gave the order to descend. The Zereth dipped through the atmosphere, dust swirling against its hull, and entered the yawning hangar of the UN's Leviathan. Inside, the scale was overwhelming. The hangar could have held their small ship 100 times over. Human soldiers in sleek black armor moved in formation, their faces hidden behind dark visors. The armored Admiral waited at the far end, hands clasped behind his back. His presence filled the room like gravity. "You came when you didn't have to," he said. "That choice may decide the future of this galaxy." Trell kept his voice steady. We didn't do it for thanks. We did it because someone had to. The Admiral's visor glowed faintly. Good, because I am not thanking you. I am giving you orders. The crew exchanged uneasy looks. The Admiral led them deeper into the ship. Doors slid open to reveal a massive war room, its center dominated by a holographic projection of the galaxy. Red marks spread like infection across several sectors. The Varkul's attacks are not random, the Admiral explained. They are cutting paths toward specific locations, sentient human relay stations. If they take those, they can track the fleet no matter where we hide. Carol frowned. Then we need to destroy the stations first. The Admiral's tone was like stone. No, we must reactivate them. They were built not just for communication, but for war. When powered, they can summon the fleet anywhere in the galaxy in minutes. Varen leaned forward, his voice quiet but urgent. How many are there? 7, the Admiral replied, scattered across worlds now claimed by other species. Hostile, some neutral. Trell understood instantly. You want us to find them? Yes, the Admiral said. Your ship is small, fast, and unknown to the Varkul. You can go where my fleet cannot without drawing attention. Trell studied the map, and when we light the last one, what happens? The Admiral's voice lowered. Then the fleet will no longer sleep. It will not hide. It will return to the stars, as it once did, and we will hunt the Varkul to the edge of the galaxy. The words hung in the air like a promisand, a threat. Before Trell could answer, the ship's alarms blared. Red light flooded the war room. A voice came over the comms. Multiple warp signatures detected inside the system. The Admiral snapped toward the displays. The hologram shifted, showing 3 massive Varkul ships dropping out of warp above the planet. These were bigger than the ones before, heavily armored, bristling with weapons. They came back fast, Karel muttered. They will not leave again. The Admiral said coldly. The UN's Leviathan rumbled as it powered up. All around, the hangar shook with the roar of awakening engines. The cavern doors, still half closed, began to open wider than Trell had ever seen. The Admiral's voice thundered through the ship. All ships full, launch. This is no drill, the war. Fleet returns to the stars. The Zereth scrambled back to its cockpit. Outside, the human fleet rose like an iron storm. Engines blazed, weapons locked, and formation lines snapped into place. The sound was not noise, it was power made real. From the bridge, Trell saw the Leviathan surge forward, leading the charge. The smaller UN's Titan and UN's Wrath flanked it, their cannons glowing with terrible light. The Varkul opened fire first. Beams of red energy streaked through space, but the human ships met them with shields that shimmered like steel rain. Trell pushed the Zereth into position alongside the Wrath Corel. Keep us out of the big guns line. Varen, watch for fighters. Yes, Captain, both replied. The battle exploded around them. Missiles streaked, railguns thundered, and the void burned with the light of dying ships. One Varkul cruiser broke through the human line, turning its guns on the Zereth. Trell rolled hard, the enemy's shots tearing past them, and fired a volley of missiles into its exposed side. The cruiser spun out of control, flames venting into space, shot through the chaos. The Admiral's voice cut in over comms. Captain, Trell, your mission begins now. While we hold them here, you must take the Zereth and slip past their lines. The first relay station is on the world of Calrose Prime. Go before they see you. Trell hesitated. And you will be here when you call us. Now move. The Zeroth dropped low, skimming the planet's surface before shooting into the open void beyond the battle. Behind them, the war fleet fought like gods of steel, holding the Varkle in place from the rear viewport. Verin watched as the Leviathan tore a Varkle dreadnought in half with a single broadside. "They're unstoppable," he whispered. Trell shook his head. "No, they're just awake. That's different." As the Zereth cleared the system and jumped into faster-than-light travel, the human fleet's last transmissions echoed in their comes for Earth, for humanity, for the day we finish this war. The stars stretched into lines, and the planet vanished behind them. But in Trell's mind, the image of that fleet rising from the dust was burned forever. They were no longer explorers, they were messengers. And when the seventh relay lit up, the galaxy would know humanity had returned.